Hey, this is the final video for 2.2, part 2, and we're going to talk about the properties of a quadratic written in a different form. So we've had, if we look up here, we've had standard form, okay, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. We've had vertex form, which was a times x minus h squared plus k. And now we have intercept form. This gives us our x-intercepts, okay? That means where the graph crosses that x-axis. The p and the q are the intercepts. Remember, whenever I said things are grouped with x, I said it's the opposite sign. So, and that's because it's minus p, so p would be positive if there's the minus there, because it would be a negative if, p would be negative if there was a plus, because minus a negative makes that positive. So just get in the habit of when it's grouped with x, it's the opposite sign, okay? And so we can find the axis of symmetry by taking p plus q and dividing it by 2. It opens up when a is positive. It opens down when a is negative, just like our vertex form and our standard form. All right, so if we go to the last page of the notes for 2.2, or just, the third page here, we're going to look at 4 and 5. I know we did skip and do 6 already in the last video, but now we're going to go back and do 4 and 5. It wants us to graph the function, label the x-intercepts, the vertex, and the axis of symmetry, and describe the graph is where it's increasing and decreasing. All right, so we are going to use these to find our intercepts, our x-intercepts. Okay, if that's P, that's Q. So one of them is, and then we do the opposite sign. So that's a plus 4, so it's a minus 4. And then the other one is a minus 2, so it's going to be a positive 2. And I can plot those on my graph. All right, the axis of symmetry is P plus Q divided by 2. That gives us x equals. So in this case, it's a negative 4 plus 2 divided by 2. So negative 2 divided by 2 would be a negative 1. And if you look on the graph, if you can't remember that, if you look on this graph, it's halfway between those 2 points. Okay, because quadratics are symmetric. So each point has to be the same distance from the vertex and axis of symmetry. So see, they're each 3 to the side. Okay, so if you can't remember the equation, at least remember it's halfway between them. So in my vertex, I know that the x value is negative 1, okay, because my vertex is going to have to be on that yellow line. It'll have to be on my axis of symmetry. So in my equation, I'm going to type that in for x. So let me write this down here. I'm going to say y is going to equal a negative 1/3, and I have negative 1 plus 4 times negative 1 minus 2. And you can just type all that in your calculator, making sure parentheses are where they're at. Or you could simplify things and say that's a 3 and that's a negative 3. Okay, so it's going to be a positive 3. Lots of 3s. All right, so I can plot that point. At negative 1, I'm at positive 3. And this gives you some points so we can go ahead and plot without having to use the table of, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9, and graphing that. Okay, we do know it opens down because that was negative, and our points are showing that because that vertex has to be the highest point. Okay, that's not exact, obviously, but close enough. It gave me enough to be able to draw that. So with increasing and decreasing, so if I'm going from left to right to the vertex, I'm going up to get to the vertex, and then when I'm going away from the vertex, I go down. So it's increasing to the right of the vertex, which we say right of the axis of symmetry there. And then to the left, it starts going down again. So left of it, it goes down. And if we wrote that in interval notation, it would be negative infinity to negative 1 is increasing, and negative 1 to infinity is decreasing, and both would have parentheses. All right, so let's just make sure we did everything we graphed. I didn't label things. I guess I should have here, but we wrote them down below, so we're good. vertex, axis of symmetry, and described. Okay, I was just making sure we did all the things. All right, so number 5. Okay, we look what's grouped with x to get our 2 intercepts. Well, one of the x doesn't have plus or minus a number. That's the same thing as saying x plus 0, okay? So I know one of the x values is 0, so I'm going to have a vertex at 0, 0. The other one is a minus 2, so it means a positive 2, 0. So I'm going to put a point there. Now, in your practice, I don't know why this plus is there. It doesn't need to be there. But in your practice, the problem might look like this, where the x might not even be in parentheses. Okay, that just means there's nothing grouped with it, so that's 0. All right. So your axis of symmetry is halfway between those. So 0 plus 2 divided by 2 is 1. So its x is 1. So I'm going to draw my axis. Okay, and I know for my vertex, the x value is 1 because it has to be on that axis of symmetry. So then I'm going to go back to my equation up here and plug 1 in for x. So I have 2 times 1, and then 1 minus 2 in parentheses. So 2 times negative 1, so I get negative 2 for my y value. So I can plot that at positive 1, I'm going down 2. Okay, because A is positive, we know we have to open up, and this does. My vertex is the lowest point. It's kind of skinny because my A is greater than 1, so it was a stretch, just like number 4 was kind of fatter because 1/3 is a shrink because it's less than 1, between 0 and 1. All right, so increasing. So I'm going to draw, if I'm going from left to right, I'm going down to the vertex, and then after I hit the vertex from left to right, I go up. So it is decreasing on the left of the axis of symmetry, and it is increasing on the right of the axis of symmetry. So from negative infinity to 1, it is decreasing, and from 1 to infinity, it is increasing. All right, so now you can go finish off the practice and do numbers 53, 55, 58, 62, and 63. Then you submit, after you finish the paper practice, get your answers submitted into Big Ideas and submit a screenshot into Canvas.